So how do I properly pronounce your name?
Uh, Gabriel Gallegos.
Gabriel Gallegos. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Make sure. All right.
Yes.
Well, I'm
Perfect.
I'm Robert Young, and we're doing a little discussion time about the orchestration of the music of Nixon King. Um, I want to go back to how we met. You want to go on a little bit about that?
Sure. I think it was pretty much chance, in the right place at the right time. I just returned from studying overseas in Spain, and I arrived back in New York, and I wanted to start working either in television or film or theater. And I wasn't sure where to start, so I just posted an ad on Craigslist and said, composer, orchestrator, available for collaborations. And I thought it was a shot in the dark. I didn't think anyone would reply. And maybe less than a week later, you replied and said you were looking for an orchestrator. And I thought that was pretty amazing. That, something, an opportunity so big came so quickly just because I posted that ad at the right time. So I think it was meant to be.
Yes. Yes, I had been on Craigslist looking for just the right person to do this. I'd actually dealt with a couple of different orchestrators, but it always sort of fell through. But we had a good working relationship.
Right.
In your educational background,
Well, I have a bachelor's degree in composition for film. And then most recently, I studied in Spain and got my Master of Music in scoring for film. And I think that was something that you and I really, met together on in the beginning. That you were a writer, an actor, um, and I came from film scoring, and we were diving into this project that was sort of new to both of us. I know you have previous experience with the musical, but you wrote the music for this one. Um, and I think we kind of had a meeting of the minds on that, of how we were coming together on this project from that perspective, coming at it from a, a film perspective or an actor perspective.
now, how did you break down the music by ear and then transcribe it?
It was a big task. What I did is, as I had mentioned, that my background is in film scoring, so I tackled it as if it was a film. And so, also, as we had mentioned, you already had all the music composed for this. So you supplied it to me as MP3s. So what I did is I got a script from you, and I broke it down into individual cues, much like a film score. And so I just went piece by piece, listened to it repeatedly, and pulling apart the different instruments that I saw in my head or heard in my head, and notated it in Sibelius. And so this part was very time consuming, but it also helped me grow as an orchestrator, as a composer, and also developing my ear, because this was not music that I had composed, so I was somewhat unfamiliar with it. I had listened to parts of it previously when we were talking about working together, but I hadn't listened to it with that such fine-tuned detail, every second, every beat, every instrument. So I just went slowly. And that was the first part of the process, was transcribing it into Sibelius, note for note. And then once that was done, you and I decided on what type of instrumentation you had envisioned for this ensemble, for the score. And then I went from there. I went back to the beginning of it and tackled it cue by cue and orchestrated the music that you had composed into that agreed upon ensemble.
And did you draw inspiration from anything during the project?
Oh, yes. So since the musical begins in 1960, I always had this vision of it having a a score that was similar to something of Bernard Herrmann, who scored a lot of the Hitchcock films, and also the Twilight Zone series from the 60s. I wanted to capture that feel because I thought it was something that would fit well, not only with the time period, but with the tone, especially in the beginning of it, starting in the prison cell. I wanted to play with that space, with the reverberation. And so we use things like muted trumpets and, different types of percussion, to give that space an identity, as if it's another character in the play. So those were my inspirations for the sound of it. But I also think that even though the story does jump ahead in time, a lot of those sounds are timeless. And that's one thing that I wanted to keep in mind when scoring this, is that, or orchestrating your score, was that even though it jumps time, I want something that's going to sound great no matter what decade this play is, produced, So, and I think the 60s, the cinematic sounds of the 60s really are timeless. And so it was a great time to start, a great tonality to establish, but then to also use those sounds to develop the score as the time progresses.
And after our interview, we'll see a few demonstrations of your orchestrations.
Right.
But before we get to that, what are some other works we can expect to hear from you in the future? What would you like to talk about in terms of your musicality?
Currently, I've been releasing several of my works on a website called JW Pepper, and this is so orchestras can purchase these pieces and perform them live. So I've been shopping them around to different orchestras to hopefully get some of these orchestral pieces of mine produced. And recently, I was awarded a fellowship with the Orchestra of America's Music Conservatory. So I'll be studying with composer Gabriel next year. And at that residency, I will be composing a piece for solo vibraphone with a really great performer. And that will premiere next June. So I'm really looking forward to that. And hopefully, like I said, I'll be getting some of these orchestral pieces out there and performed soon.
Excellent. Okay. Well, was there anything else you wanted to go into detail about?
Well, I just wanted to say that it's been a wonderful experience collaborating with you on this project. I think it's a wonderful story. It has some great moments, some great humor. It's something I think that is really lacking on the stage right now. I think that with your music and with your script, you really have something special. So thank you, for bringing me on as an orchestrator. This has been a wonderful project, and I really think it's going to go far. So, the best of luck to you with your Detroit performances, and I'm looking forward to where this is going to go in the future.
Yes, and I am looking forward to it being fully played by an orchestra.
Oh,
And,
yes.
just the majestic nature of it. Your skill. I can't wait for that to fully flower.
Absolutely. And, I think we're going to get some great musicians as well. Once we have some of these little examples out there, I think quite a few people are going to be interested in helping you out, filling these spots in the ensemble. So, great job to you with the compositions, and, it was wonderful orchestrating them.